I won't lie, I'm very tired. I have my psychologist appointment this morning at 10 o'clock. It is now 9 o'clock. I took my shower, I got that done. But I set my alarm for 7 a.m. and I couldn't get up. I went to bed really late watching Netflix, and it's just that's what's happening right now. I wanted to work on my Fiverr project a little bit, and I only got a little bit done. Only have a few days to do that. No pressure. So, like I said in the last video, I wanted to do a couple weather videos that I had notes for, and I didn't do them. So, I'm doing one now, maybe two. Maybe I'll do the other one later when I get back home, because I'm not going to the gym. I have to do laundry, and I'm going to go Saturday and Sunday. So, I've mentioned in some of my videos sporadically that I, go to other therapy and stuff. The group I go on Thursday nights is no longer. It was only for 8 sessions. And the other therapist from the Human Relations course, I see once a month, and I'm going to be ending that because, well, possibly ending that if the relationship with the psychologist remains more long term, hopefully. So, when I began trying to seek therapy or recovery, I had done a couple of sessions in Los Angeles when I was dating someone, and I liked it. It wasn't necessarily the right group for me, but it was a start, and I felt really good about it. I looked forward to going there. When I came here to Montreal, Canada, I couldn't find that, at least not for free. The one in LA was free because it was, I guess, paid for with insurance and stuff. So, I couldn't find anything, and I found something. It was a cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT type course, which I know now the person isn't qualified, and it's not really that, and it's just kind of like a, like not an AA meeting, but it's similar to that, where it's people who've taken similar type groups, and then they form their own group, and then they have a whole bunch of people who just kind of support each other. And she was supporting it also with some research that she was doing, lecture, like finding handouts with the latest studies and stuff like that. At the time, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as the one in LA, because it was old, people were older and Canadian, in the sense that there was no passion behind it, you know what I mean? So I did what I did, and I managed to do something. I worked a lot on my own, journaling and stuff like that, to kind of figure out my stuff, And it was just a place to go, and I started liking it. What happened was, with that, the way I outgrew it, which basically means there was something that triggered me, and there was nothing to be got from that. So there was this older lady, I think she was in her 70s or 80s, and the way the class was going is like, sometimes there was a lot of people, sometimes there wasn't. And you had to pay like $20 each time, or $10. I think it was $10. And this older lady, well, first of all, the class was like, you had only a few minutes to say what your situation was, and and then you move on. So there wasn't much of listening to what you were saying, really. I didn't really feel listened by the end. But I was listening to a lot of other people, so I was okay at the beginning. But then when I found like I wanted to say stuff, I had to be truncated, and what added to it was this old lady, I think, in the sense that initially she had triggered me when she started to get closer to me, and I would walk home with her because she lived nearby the venue, and she said something about me that kind of triggered me, and I know she didn't mean it. She just didn't know what she was saying. She doesn't know what my issues were. Something to do with me and making money, and she kind of assumed something that really hurt. You know, basically saying that what I heard is that, you know, I was kind of useless. I can't fend for myself, type thing. So I think I mentioned it. I don't know what I did with it. I forget now. But it was like, okay, it was me who was triggered, so it had nothing to do with her. But three years after the fact, I'm looking back at that class and realizing the narcissism involved in this type of lady and the dynamic that was happening. When someone is coming each time, looking forward to coming to the group, developing a close bond with the actual lady in charge, who was older too, it seemed like her wanting to die and not being able to take care of herself because of her real illnesses was kind of like dominating the class, the group. And a lot of people stopped coming, and there was no reason why, and but with this lady, amongst other things, it seemed like all the attention was geared towards her, and it was the same. There were other cases, but this is the one that sticks in my mind, and the person in charge was talking about, you know, ways to legally kill yourself, go to the doctor, euthanasia, and all that stuff. And it just seemed like that was it the whole time, and the lady was letting her talk a lot. And when you're still in that rut, but you're not moving to action, it becomes stuck. There's no progress. And becomes like you're just looking for validation, saying, oh, I'm old, I'm feeble, I have rheumatoid arthritis, or I can't move, and that's it. And she was getting the validation, as I see now. And I was still trying to adapt to the class to kind of stop babbling, but I more and more stopped feeling heard or validated myself or anything. It just felt it was not really a good fit for me. And I found another class, which was the original class that this lady who started her own class participated in. It was called Recovery, and it was kind of like an AA meeting, but not really. It was based on the technique of this Dr. Lau from Chicago, who had this technique of leading the class and lowering your anxiety and techniques to deal with the day and stuff like that. When I went to LA for a month a couple of years ago, 2017, there was a recovery class there, and I found it a lot better. There was the actual books that you can read and interpret. It was pretty nice. In Montreal, there was one book. You would read a part of the stuff, and I guess it'd be like quotes and you, not like reading the Bible, but like you read a book and then you see things and like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It would be on a different topic each time. So that was the group that the lady who started her own group, which was the first one I went to, she called it cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, but it was just a mixture of things. And there wasn't actually anything that helped, except the fact that I was taking initiative in journaling and stuff. And I think that's kind of the point anyways, that you have to put the work in. But people were talking bad about this lady, that she's crazy. And there was another woman who was in the original class with me, and she ended up going to the recovery one anyways, because I think I mentioned it. And the first time we spoke in the new recovery class, she said something polite, like that the lady tries, but it's just not there yet. Like, she wasn't managing the class properly. She wasn't, you know what I mean? At the time, it was all I had, and I was like, it was great. Then in the second recovery class, I stopped that too. I was doing both at the same time to have more places to go and people to see, and eventually I outgrew that too, because when you get into a rut and every time you come and it's the same, it's like a broken record, there's no progress there, and it's like you're there just to complain and you're looking for validation, and that's not the purpose of these classes, and people get stuck in that, and I feel that, and then I have to leave, because it's more toxic for me than it is beneficial. So that is what I wanted to talk about. What I've learned, I couldn't put my finger on it for the first class with the older lady especially. I know there was an older man who was always stuck in, he was in this bad relationship, he was in his 70s, in a bad relationship where he broke off with this older lady, and then in the worst way brought her on a vacation to break off with her. And then he spent many years trying to get her back, and it was just kind of like that broken record. It was kind of the entertainment of the group, and I don't think that was good. I mean, the whole group ended up being like a gossip session almost. It was, looking back on it, wasn't really helpful for what it was. But I was looking to make friends and stuff, and I didn't make any friends really. The lady in charge of the first group had some parties and stuff, and I went to a few, and it just wasn't working. And she played matchmaker, that's kind of her side gig. I mean, I was looking for, the social interactions and stuff, it just wasn't working. So, looking back about, people's need for the validation and stuff, that's how I see it now. So, yeah. So I'm going to my therapist today. I never know what I'm talking about, but the thing is that I have to kind of be in my state, kind of like I am now, kind of like mopey, and see what we could kind of do, because it's supposed to be like a laboratory when you're in with your therapist. So it's supposed to be like it's a real relationship. So if he says something that triggers me, we have to address it and have to see how to kind of deal with it. It only happened once, so we'll see what happens.